Could you have ever imagined that Australia would be locked down the way it will tonight?
No, look, the steps that are having to be taken are absolutely unprecedented. You've got countries all around the world locking down, Australia locking down, suggestions that it could go on for an extended period of time. I think we're in uncharted waters would be an understatement at this point.
Yep, unprecedented, understated. The amount of times we come up with breaking news just in our time slot here in the morning is extraordinary. I want to ask you, as a former communications minister, we've seen around some of the announcements, and it is a small announcement, but I think it matters to people in self-isolation and who are increasingly working from home. The NBN has expanded its bandwidth at this time. Why can't that be done in every day-to-day life? Why does it take a coronavirus to do that?
Yeah, well, look, firstly, I mean, congratulations to Steve Rue and the team there. They've got right behind Team Australia at a moment like this, so that's great to see. The arguments between telcos and NBN have been going on since I was the minister. Telecommunications company, Telstra in particular, had extraordinary profits. They had supernormal profits based on their monopoly status. The NBN's whole purpose was to break up and modernise Australia's telecommunications structure. So there's always been an ongoing argument that the telecommunications companies want to keep their levels of profits that they used to have, which were obscene. We have the most concentrated telecommunications market in the world, and the ACCC had made many reports on this. So when it comes to the actual pricing backwards and forwards, there's always going to be commercial tension that's there. I mean, Telstra have done some good things with their announcements this week, but that argument will go on. The NBN, its business model has been damaged by some of the decisions that's been made. They've got to make a profit. Otherwise they end up the greatest white elephant in the history of Australia, and the telecommunications company want to protect their old profit structures.
Stephen, just on the journey ahead when it comes to the economy, it's going to be a very, very rocky road, to put it mildly. There was the $100 billion bazooka that will be fired. That were Josh Frydenberg's words. That was fired yesterday. You've got the announcement that's going to be taking place this weekend. I mean, do you expect that to calm the situation at all, economically speaking?
Well, look, I think it's going to be needed. If you remember, just a week ago, we were talking about the $17 billion injection, and that has not touched the sides. That has disappeared without trace. So when we were faced with a global financial crisis, we injected about 4% of GDP into the economy in a short period of time, and I suspect that the government are going to need to do something like that if they want to try and stabilise the economy, get confidence back into the marketplace at both the consumer level as well as the business level. I think those sort of numbers you're seeing, $100 billion bazooka phrases, they're going to be what is needed to try and stabilise the levels of confidence in the country.
Well, Peter Switzer this morning was talking about a 10% GDP ratio when it comes to stimulus required. A lot of that stimulus has come from the monetary side. We'll see more from the fiscal side this weekend. But as one of the most well-known Collingwood fans, at least that I know, how do you feel about the AFL going ahead? And obviously, people sitting at home are thinking, well, there's really two strands to this. It's say what I do what I say, not as I do in some cases, and that is the AFL and the NRL.
Yeah, look, I mean, these are brave decisions to keep going ahead. If you look around the world, most of the major sporting codes have cancelled the seasons or suspended the seasons, expecting to cancel their seasons. So it's a very brave decision to go ahead. I'm sure it took into account all of the medical advice, but it will only take one team to suddenly have an infection and everyone be in lockdown, and the competition will struggle to get through even the reduced 17 matches. I mean, we all want to watch our footy teams. It was great to see a game of footy on last night, but it won't take much to tip the balance, I suspect, that will force Gill and the team at the AFL have to think about what they do next. But yeah, very brave to go ahead when every other code around the world has pulled the pin.